Hello, everyone. Dr. Hassaan Tohid here with Bob Kroon, and welcome to Hassaan and Bob Show. As all of you already know through my channel, that I'm Dr. Hassaan Tohid, and I am a trainer and a coach, besides being a clinician. And now Bob and I will conduct this show very often for you guys so that we can help you grow your business during these times of recession. So I will now ask Bob to introduce himself. Hi, Bob.
Good. Thank you. I'm Bob Kroon. I'm a executive coach in Silicon Valley in the San Francisco Bay Area. I just work with owners, founders, and CEOs of businesses, and look forward to chatting with you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you. So, Bob, today we start out as our first episode for the business success, for the businessmen, the entrepreneurs, the startup guys, whoever is starting their businesses, and now they are suddenly stuck with this sudden recession. It's not a gradual recession. The tragedy is this was a sudden recession because of this virus. So today's topic is how to recession-proof your business. So I will go over to Bob, and Bob, what do you think is the first thing the entrepreneurs should take care of under these circumstances?
Well, I think the first thing they should do is be aware of their own mood. And it's important to get your mind right on this. When something like this occurs, you can fall into the stages of grief, and that this is a problem, and that keeps you from acting. And where you need to do is you need to be in a position mentally that you can act. In 2008, I worked with a fella who the recession there then was pretty deep too, and he had a real concern about a real negative attitude that couldn't survive, couldn't win, and essentially went down the path of giving up. And it fell to me to take the actions in the business to make it survive.
Yeah. So Bob, a quick question. How different do you see this recession from 2008? Do you think
I think it's deeper. I think it's deeper. I think this is more severe. Oh, well, and more widespread. This is worldwide. The recession in 2008 was we didn't even think about the rest of the world. It was mostly limited to the U.S., but everybody's in the same boat this time.
And do you agree with this when I said that this one is a sudden recession? The other one was gradual.
Well, however gradual it is, this is not only sudden, it's deep. This is almost a once in a lifetime recession.
So what I believe is, I totally agree with what you said. The first thing first is the mindset. Everyone who is running a business, whoever is running a business, we all are in the same boat. So the main thing we all need to do is stay calm. Stay calm, just sit down, calm and cool, and think about how you can improve, how you can make it better, and just remind to yourself that I can get over it. I can get through this. Because as the great Brian Tracy says, that nature does not send you a problem that you cannot handle.
Yes.
So that is number one. That is just calm down and plan, because if you are not calm, you cannot plan. Your mind will not work. So it goes for everyone, that we need to start with planning, proper planning, calm down, sit down on a piece of paper, think on paper, and then gradually take actions that are most important and most urgent. So now, Bob, what do you think should be the next thing?
Well, I want to go along with you here. You're going to have a lot of random thoughts, and it's important to just write them on a piece of paper, and somehow they may not connect for you right away, but you're having that thought for a reason. And sometimes down the line, you're going to say, aha, I was thinking about that. And you'll have a little bitty record. Even if you draw a picture, it doesn't have to be, very formal to do this. For me, the next step is to begin your action plan. And when we talk about survival in a recession, we're not, I don't think, we're talking about finding food to eat or whatever. For a business, survival is a financial thing. Primarily it's having enough cash. Once you can't pay your bills, then things that really become a problem. And to me, it's important to have a good sense of what your cash position is. And that comes down to what we call cash forecasting. That's different than a profit forecast. Cash is an item on your balance sheet, and it's an asset. And what you want to do in your business is take actions that keep that asset, that amount, positive. So my advice first is you got to get a grip on what your cash position is and what you think it's going to be in the near future.
Yes. So Bob, coming to this point regarding cash flow, we have seen so many companies laying off their employees, and so many companies have allowed their employees to work from home, yet they are finding reasons to lay off. Do you think that these are legit reasons, or they are just being overly cautious and scared?
Well, I would like to think that it's a result of somebody doing their cash forecasting. At any time in any business, there are people that are very productive for you, maybe in big corporations, divisions that are productive or profitable, others that are losses. It doesn't matter the size of the business. This is a time you make hard decisions that you might not otherwise want to make. And I can relate to a story in 2008 when you talk about layoffs. I looked at laying people off in the business I was working in. It was a rather small business, and we had about 30 or 35 people in the business. And at one point, I could lay 100% of the people off and not break even. A layoff was insufficient. And of course, it's absurd to lay everyone off. It takes people to run a business. So I had, what that told me, and in my cash forecasting process, was that I needed more than layoffs. There had to be other things that I had to consider.
Regarding cash flow, Bob, I 100% agree with you, because cash is king.
Right.
Cash is king. If you don't have cash, how can you run a company? How can you run a business? And most important thing is taking care of your team, your employees, even if you have to give some sacrifice. As an entrepreneur, if you are a great leader, you sacrifice. Even if you don't pay yourself for at least 1 or 2 months, but you make sure that you take care of your employees, and try your level best not to lay off people. Try to see where you can cut expenses, and don't lay off. That's number one thing I would say. And now many would argue that how is this possible? How can I increase my cash flow, and how I can survive without laying off? Guys, the thing is that many entrepreneurs, the new entrepreneurs especially, they don't know the concept of growing their pipeline. I recommend grow your pipeline, grow your online presence under these circumstances, grow your physical presence. And now the only physical presence that is most useful is right now the online. So make yourself visible. When you are visible, your pipeline will increase. By pipeline, I mean more prospects, more clients. So the more visible you are, your pipeline will increase. and collect the pipeline. You have more people, you will still get some cash. You will still get some cash. So you can still increase your pipeline. Bob, what do you say about that?
I agree. In 2008, the company I worked for, we had 6 facilities in different cities. And of course, we had leases, and they were long-term, and they were going to be difficult to get out of. And one of the actions we took was to see what else we could put in the facility. And I remember discussing this with the owner of the business. I said, well, you know, other people in the industry are going to be having problems as well. And perhaps we can collaborate on some things and make better use of those assets. Oh, and oh, it can't be done. Of course, he was negative on this. And I said, what the heck? It's just a phone call. So I went into the conference room and I started dialing. And the first 3 people I called all said, yeah, we'll do that. It was a matter of just making the phone call.
Yeah.
So that ultimately, a few years later, that initiative became 20-25% of the sales of the business.
Just a phone call.
Just a phone call.
So socializing and networking still works the same old school.
Same old school, yeah. Yeah, we have this new invention. It's called a telephone. You can actually talk to people. Did you know that?
So guys, listen to this. This wisdom Bob Kroon has said. You guys should follow this. That please don't isolate. Sitting inside because of the virus, because of the pandemic, doesn't mean that you should not socialize. You can use telephone, you can use technology, and you can still socialize and meet with people, online meetings, and make connections so that you work as a team with other companies. Now, this is not the time to see other people as your competitors. That's very important. You need to work on a win-win situation. Bob, what do you say about that?
Well, yeah, we call that co-opetition. So sometimes you just team up. Sometimes, let's say there's someone else in your industry that's having a difficult time of it, and maybe their solution to their business is to exit. So this can also be a time where you can acquire someone else's business for little or nothing. Sometimes they just don't want to go through bankruptcy court or the hassle, and you may be able to strike a deal based on future revenues.
Yeah.
That they get some compensation for it.
Yeah.
I guess I'm encouraging creativity here, and you aren't going to learn these things sitting in an office with 4 walls and not talking to anyone. You talk to people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Otherwise you get depressed, you don't get ideas, and you feel that, oh, my business is going down. But when you have people around, you have a social support, and the other person has the same problem as yours because of the similar situation everyone is facing. So you feel that you are not alone in this situation.
Yes.
And also, not just by teaming up, you can not just share the knowledge and ideas, but remember, you probably have another area of expertise. The other person has another area of expertise, and you guys give each other what you don't have. I mean, what the other person doesn't have. If you have something, you give that to the other person, and that's how you grow each other and you help each other. And as you have seen, Bob, you must have seen many people, many entrepreneurs, they do a YouTube blog or something like that, where both people, they are in a show and they upload their videos on their respective channels. So what they're helping the other person is with that, for example, I'm introducing you to my followers and my pipeline who knows me, and you are introducing me to your pipeline, and there is no competition. It's a win-win for both.
Yes.
And suddenly your power becomes double.
Yes.
But only smart people think this way. There are still some people who are still thinking to compete, and they think, oh, this is a time I should beat my competitor. I don't think so.
No, sometimes 1 + 1 is 3.
Exactly.
And the power of joining forces. There's another facet to this that you bring to mind for me. Sometimes one of an event like this or a recession serves to accelerate change.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was a good idea for you to team up with a competitor, or to get rid of a facility, or maybe even to hire someone that you've been thinking about that could be really valuable to your company. When an event like this occurs, and in some cases, it prompts you to act, to move on things, and you have to see that as valuable.
Mm-hmm. Okay, another thing, Bob, why don't people just change their total mindset that because this is a contraction period, in this period of contraction, I will not contract, I will expand. I mean, just change the mindset and see the results.
I have a coaching client who had a retail business with 7 stores, and this person, in a matter of 2 weeks, put their entire business online. It was something they had been thinking about for a long time.
What was the
and
business?
Moving
what was the
slowly,
business line?
and when the recession hit, boom, they acted and they moved. And last I talked to them, it appeared that this was going to be successful enough that the business would survive even in the lockdown just by online revenues.
Very good, very good. And right now, online businesses are actually still surviving. So that's a very good idea. And what was the main core of the business? What was the service?
It was an education business.
So that's wonderful. Education can be done online. Consultation can be done online. Counseling, coaching, all of these things can be done online.
Yes.
So
in fact, it's a good mental exercise to say, okay, whatever I do has to be online. And you hold that as your fixed thought, and you ask and move from that notion and say, okay, so what would I have to do in my business to be online? What actions would I have to take?
exactly.
And it's not whether or not I should or maybe or how to, just make that your primary thought. And what would my business model need to look like if I had to deliver everything I do as an online service?
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, I met a shopkeeper in Honolulu. That was before this pandemic actually began. So he was selling some souvenirs and those kind of things. And he had a beautiful store, so many wonderful things. And the only drawback was that he was just expecting people to come and show up in his store, and he was totally dependent on that. And suddenly it occurred to me, I asked him, does he have any online presence? And he did not have that online presence, and he had no idea about that. And I gave him an idea. I said, you have a physical store, the same store, you just convert it into an online store as well, and your market grows. I mean, most companies, they miss 80 to 90% of their customers. When you are just living in one locality and you just focus on one locality, you are ignoring the fact that if you go online, suddenly you become an international seller.
Well, think about how this recession and the pandemic is accelerating online business. It was moving there slowly, but now we have millions of people working from home, learning how to use online tools, learning how to use online video conferencing, and a fraction of those people will never go back to the old way. The movement towards online business has totally been accelerated way past what it would have had the pandemic not occurred.
Exactly, exactly. And just imagine we didn't have this internet, what would have been the situation right now?
Yeah. Yes.
So now, Bob, another thing, before we move to the next point, one thing that I often think about since this situation has started, that in 2008, we did not have all the giant companies that we have right now. They were not that big enough. They were not that popular. Let's start with the giant ones. We did not have YouTube as popular as it is today.
Yes.
We did not have Amazon as powerful and popular as it is today. We did not have Facebook as powerful as I myself was not on Facebook in 2008.
Exactly.
So
and everybody has mobile devices,
and everyone has the smartphone.
Yes.
So the thing I'm thinking about is that, don't you think that this actually is an opportunity? This crisis is really an opportunity for the online world, and also it can be actually a better situation than 2008, because we have this huge online world now running parallel with the physical world.
Quite possibly. I think that's so. It's, there was still value in, and there still is value in people being with people. I think there's some gray in this, and I don't know exactly how to express it, but going forward, you might, work 4 days from home and 1 day in the office or something. There still is some value to face-to-face communication. It's easier to see body language, to see reactions of others, to see reactions as a group. To see what people glance at, whether they're looking at your chart or what you're writing on the board. Some of that is lost in online business, but people are adapting. They are clearly adapting to this way of working. I'll tell a personal story. My son was in the middle of a job search when this happened,
Mm-hmm.
and he just got hired. A forward-thinking company did not stop their hiring, and he had to wait a week or two because they took all of their onboarding for the company and put it online.
Mm-hmm.
And so that they could continue to hire.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm sure that's something they had been thinking about for months, if not years. Could we do online onboarding? But when the pandemic hit, they quickly implemented what they'd been thinking about anyway.
Mm-hmm. So one thing, I'm going to sound a little crazy here. This is what I personally believe, that when recession hits, rather than laying off, hire a right person. Hire a right person. What do you think of that, Bob?
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves here a little bit, but when you do a layoff, you want to, the people that are most valuable to your business are the ones, there's a couple things. One is they're capable of doing a lot of different things. And people who can only do a single task they're hard, when you need to cut back on a department or an organization, you have no place to move them. But someone who's been cross-trained or is very flexible and willing to be flexible, those are very valuable employees, and they should be the last you lay off. Because maybe a job goes from half-time to part-time. Well, they can do two part-time jobs rather than two separate people doing half-time jobs.
Yeah.
So the flexible person is important.
Mm-hmm.
At a higher level, in any company, and I don't care if this is a multi-billion-dollar company, it always boils down, there are 3 or 4 people who work for you who are the movers and shakers. They're the ones that get things done.
Is the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule.
80-20 there, and this is the time to rely on these people. They may not even be a direct report to you. They might be a second layer down, right? But identify the people who you can give an assignment to and turn your back, and you know it's going to get done.
Yeah.
This also gets personal to a CEO or a leader or a founder. You have limited time in the day and limited time in the week. You have your time is finite, and you can't do everything personally. And so people who can do things for you expand your capabilities.
Yeah.
So take stock of who
So be
who are
smart.
the players in your business.
If you really, really have to lay off, then be smart. Be smart. Keep the valuable people with you, with yourself.
Yes.
Yes. And the thing is that try to move online. Every business can be moved online. This is what I believe. In the 21st century, let's name an industry. Let's say education. We know education can be done online. We already mentioned the names of those businesses, but what about the physical products? Any physical products, from the clothing to the sunglasses to the makeup, or anything, you name it, anything that was running in a store now can be done online. And the same goes for groceries. So I think people should stop being really scared and try to think of more ideas and approaches how they can bring their presence online. Do you agree with that, Bob?
Yes. And again, ask your key people, because they may have ideas too of how to bring things online. One of the most effective strategies, and we talk about this in Silicon Valley startups a lot. Mm-hmm. It's almost how do I want to say, mandatory at this point to use subscription pricing, and subscription pricing, if you don't understand what I'm saying, is where someone pays a fixed amount each month for a service, and you define your business as a service, not as a physical product.
I call it as a Netflix model.
Yeah, Netflix model, but you know, maybe you sell capital equipment as, let's say, bulldozers, right? let's be absurd, right? Instead of selling bulldozers, why don't you sell bulldozing and sell time, turn it into a lease, or turn it into a shared resource.
So the thing is, it can be done. And also, Bob, another thing, I mean, just imagine if somebody has a physical store, somebody had a store of clothing, they can immediately turn online, and they bring everything online. Their whole store becomes online, and they make it the home delivery, where nobody has to come and pick it up. You make it delivered. People don't like to go out. You go extra mile. Do something extra mile.
You're right. I buy shirts from a shop in Hong Kong, and the owner has in their previous business model, they would travel to the U.S. and come visit about 20 cities for a day at a time, and you would go to see them in a hotel, and they would show you fabrics and fit and stuff like this, and of course they can't do that now. So they have adopted an online business model. They have they have videos. You can be in their store, and they'll show you fabrics online and help you select, and they know your measurements, and they have, again, they perhaps had thought about this for a long time, had never acted, and now they're forced to.
Yeah.
And I think it will be very successful for them.
Yeah. And what about restaurant industry?
Deliveries. Maybe you need to expand your menu into other things that can be delivered. You might even have an option where they pay a certain amount a day, and you just cook different meals every day. Yeah. and they don't have to think about ordering, right? They just you might invent a product where it's, you know, the special of the day, and for a fixed price they get the special every day, and it's easy.
Exactly. Because the biggest industry that is being affected right now, and people, the entrepreneurs I know who run restaurants, they are really worried, and they believe that their business is going really down. And I think there is still hope, and they can still move forward.
Yes.
And make sure your employees who are cooking, they are taking proper precaution, and you can market this, that our employees, they are fully equipped, and they have the gloves, they have the mask on all the time, and we make sure your food is totally hygienic, and then that's how you really practice what you say.
Well, this leads to another point here. Let's say you're a restaurant owner, right? One of your biggest costs is your rent, and the cost of your facility. And this may be a mindset thing, but fixed costs are not fixed. You don't want to look at that as being a fixed cost. It's negotiable. The landlord probably owns multiple properties. The last thing he wants to do is see you exit a property right now, because he gets no rent if your business goes away. It's better for him to have some rent than no rent. And so instead of thinking you're begging, you're helping your landlord by trying to stay in, attempting to stay in business.
And this all
I encourage one of my clients to call their landlords. They hesitated a bit. I said, "There's no downside to it. Just ask the question." And you know what? Every landlord responded in a positive way.
This is amazing. And you need calm mind to think of these ideas. And if you still don't have this idea, now follow this. We have given you this idea. So that's amazing. That's wonderful. So we are running out of time for the first episode, and this is a very useful session, and we will definitely continue the discussion in the next session. So the lesson learned today was that recession is something that you can handle. It's not something you cannot handle, and you just need to change your mindset, remain calm, do proper planning, and bring the presence online. And the last words, Bob, how do you conclude it?
Well, I agree with you. Online thinking. There's nothing wrong here with being brutal, demanding, obstinate, ruthless. This is the time to think through tough decisions, and doing nothing is not a choice you have.
Yeah, absolutely. And keep learning, keep growing, and don't think you are a know-it-all. Keep taking suggestions and ideas, team up with people, and keep reading, keep growing, and you will see a difference. And we hope everyone flourishes and everyone gets out of this recession really soon, and we all grow together and we all succeed together. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, and stay safe, everyone.
Thank you.